you're thinking about moving to Fairbanks and North Pole, there's one thing most people don't really know until they get here. What it actually feels like to live here day to day. Not the Instagram version, the real version. You've probably heard some of it. 40 below winters, plugging in your car, moose standing in your driveway like they own the place. And yeah, all that stuff is real. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a really simple Are You Ready test based on what people experience after they move here. Not to scare you off, just to help you figure out if this lifestyle actually fits you. So let's start out with the obvious first one, the weather. Yes, 40 below is a real thing, and yes, life just keeps going. People go to work, kids go to school, you still run errands, but this last winter was a really good example of what that actually looks like. We had stretches pushing 40 below to 43 below, and not just for a day or two. We had days stacking up on top of each other where it just didn't warm up. That's when life starts to feel a little bit different. You go outside, your eyelashes freeze over, you take a deep breath, and it's like it just takes your breath away. Your nose hairs freeze over when you take a breath through your nose. Your car sounds like it's not happy about life at all. Your whole morning routine changes completely. Like everything changes. And this is usually the first real test. And that's why one of the things that I recommend to people is like, if you're going to come up and visit, you need to come up and visit in the winter. Because up here, winter isn't something that you can avoid. It is what it is. You're going to have to deal with it every single day. You just have to build your life around it. You have to adapt to it and overcome it. Now, let's talk about plugging in your car, because this is one that surprises almost everyone too. It's not a Tesla charger thing. We're not plugging them in because we've got to keep them charged up for some reason. You're not doing anything that complicated. You're just keeping your engine warm enough to start. They recommend to do it below 20 degrees, and just so that way you can keep your engine a little bit warmer, so that way it can start, and it's supposed to prolong, your engine life. Now, when you plug it in, that plug is connected to typically either a oil pan heater, battery heater, and sometimes an engine block heater too. And it's just going to keep things a little bit warmer, so that way when you crank it in the morning, your vehicle will start and it will be a little bit warmer to start. So that way when you go to leaving on a completely cold vehicle, it's not optional to be plugging in your vehicle when it gets to those 20 below temperatures, because if your vehicle doesn't start because your vehicle froze, you're not going anywhere until the temperatures warm up or until someone comes and thaws out your vehicle, and that can take some time. All right, next up, wildlife. Moose are everywhere, and they look calm and serene and like they're just hanging out and doing their thing until they're standing between you and your car at 7 o'clock in the morning. Bears show up occasionally, maybe late in the summer, but not anywhere really near town. Maybe a black bear every once in a while. You might see them. I think in I've been here for, it's 2026. We got here in 2010, so I've been here for 16 years. I have seen one black bear, and it was in Salcha between Eielson Air Force Base and Salcha, and that was it. We lived in Salcha for 7 years and never saw a bear out there. Doesn't mean that they're not there, it's just that we never saw them. But the moose are something to talk about for sure. They are here every day, everywhere, and nowhere, all at the same time. You probably won't see them all the time, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. In the winter, you'll see tracks just showing up in your yard. Shoot, I've seen tracks showing up right outside my window and never knew that they were there. They go where they want, they eat whatever they want, and if you've got kids or pets, it's definitely something that you want to think about. Not constantly, but like, it's enough, especially if it's dark outside in the winter. You're going outside to start your vehicle. Make sure you turn on your exterior lights and so you can see what you're getting out there to do. Don't just go out there willy-nilly like you own the place, because a moose will change your opinion really fast. And this is where people realize pretty typically that you're not just living in Alaska, you're sharing space with Alaska. Now here's the one that most people don't expect until it starts to happen, and that's wildfire season. It typically runs late May through early August. The interior gets a lot of lightning, especially during the summertime. And sometimes we have a mild fire season. Other times we're checking the air quality before we decide what we're doing that day. Smoke can travel a long way up here because it's a pretty big place, and there's a lot of stuff to burn up here. And this is where home ownership starts to matter a little bit differently. We don't have trees that are typically too close to our homes. It's important to make sure you're clearing brush from away from your houses too. You're thinking thinking about your roof. Things like metal roofing and defensible space aren't just nice to have, they matter. And this is another adjustment point. Are you okay planning around conditions that you can't control? Now, when it comes to smoke, there are things that you can do. Having an HRV or heat recovery ventilation system in your home will help kind of filter the air or help circulate the air inside your home to where you're not dealing with a lot of that smoke in your home. You can also get HEPA filters installed in your home, so that way when that HRV is running that air, it's passing it through a HEPA filter too, so that way you're not having to deal with breathing that smoke. Now, most people think that the cold in the winter is one of the hardest parts, and unfortunately it's not. It's really the light, or kind of the lack thereof, in the winter. Now, in the winter you do get a few hours of daylight, but it's not really full daylight, and if you're not intentional, it can really affect your energy, your routine, everything. So people tend to adapt. They will have happy lights or light boxes. They'll have consistent schedules and routines. They'll get outside earlier during the day, especially when you can. But then summer kind of flips it on its lid. You have the midnight sun. It's bright all night. And then the challenge is the opposite. You're trying to sleep when it's still light outside, and blackout curtains become essential, and routines matter even more. So here's the real question. Would the darkness bother you more, or do you think it's the constant daylight? Let me know what you think. The thing about either one, whether it's the constant darkness or the constant daylight, routine and staying busy is what matters the most. And if you're like me, seasonal affective disorder is something that absolutely comes into play, especially in the winter. So getting a little extra vitamin D3, staying busy, staying active, all of those things tend to help out quite a bit. And if you're doing all those things and you're still struggling, NAMIFairbanks.org is a great place to reach out and look for some help, look for some support, because you're not alone. A lot of people are going through it, and NAMI Fairbanks is a great spot to check out. All right, now let's talk about what living here actually looks like at home, because this is where things tend to get a little bit real. Heating systems matter, whether you're on oil or gas or propane even, all of them cost different. We've got different water systems. We're on wells, septic, we can haul water. You could be in a dry cabin as well. And depending on where you are, we've also got issues with permafrost, foundation movement, and issues with insulation. Snow load can become a normal conversation, especially after this winter when we had a huge amount of snow. And even after a winter like this last one with heavier snowfall stretches, you start to understand why. We're not just talking about aesthetics and like, oh, what does your home look like? We're talking about functionality and how does your home function in the middle of the winter, especially in the middle of a hard winter. And if you're not used to thinking that way, well, when you get up here, you will be. So here's the real question. Out of everything I just talked about, what gave you the most pause? Was it the cold? Was it the darkness? Was it the responsibility? Was it the fires? Was it the smoke? Not necessarily the fires. They don't typically get super close, but we talked about a lot of things. Which one of them were the ones that made you really back up and say, wait a minute, maybe this isn't right for me? Because most people don't check every box right away. They grow into it, they adjust, and over time, everything just starts to feel normal. So if you're thinking about moving to Fairbanks and North Pole, or you're just trying to figure out if this lifestyle actually fits you, we make videos like this every week so you can understand it before you make that decision. The last thing I'd want to have you do is to come up here and hate it and then leave. That's the worst. Most people we end up working with started out right here, just trying to get a real feel for what living here actually looks like. If you want a full breakdown of neighborhoods, utilities, winter prep, and what day-to-day life actually involves, grab our relocation guide down in the description below. You'll be glad that you did.